With regards to obtaining the informed consent of an indigenous group, the researcher should comply with a two-step process stated in the guidelines. The first step is to obtain the free and prior informed consent of the community as a whole, and the second step is to obtain the individual consent of each member of the indigenous group. It is important to note that the consent of the community cannot override the consent of the individual. This is because the consent of the individual would be considered compromised if they would feel compelled to participate in the study due to the decision of the community. However, if the decision of the community was arrived after several community meetings and discussions where the members freely participated, then the consent of the community may be regarded as the representation of the members' decision. In this case, the group's decision strengthens the individual decision rather than violating autonomy. Furthermore, the community consultations between the researcher and the indigenous group must also be conducted prior to obtaining individual consent. The purpose of these consultations is for the researcher to explain the significance of this research study as well as to learn the culturally appropriate methods of obtaining individual consent. The informed consent form would also be based on the community consultations because it is during these consultations that the ITAs are able to participate freely in the discourse, thus ensuring that there is a proper representation of their decision. Lastly, the researcher must exert the necessary effort needed to ensure that the participants can fully understand the study. This may include changing the language of the consent, putting illustrations, or explaining the rationale for the individual consent thoroughly.